The ocean glowed pale blue under the rising sun, its surface calm enough to look like polished glass from a distance. Closer in, the water moved with the slow, steady pulse of an animal waking from deep rest. Mist drifted low across the cove, thin and white, catching the early light in a soft shimmer. The tide had slipped out only minutes before, leaving long ribbons of kelp swaying gently near the rocks. Farther offshore, the swell rose in smooth shoulders that lifted and fell with patient rhythm, as if the entire coastline breathed in time with the sea. A single figure stood on the edge of a narrow stone jetty, barefoot, toes curled over the cold surface. The morning wind brushed against her skin. Salt clung to her lips. Her hair, damp from last night's rain, stuck to her shoulders in dark strands. She felt small in the immensity of the scene, but also held by it, suspended in a quiet moment before anything had gone wrong. She closed her eyes and let the cool air fill her lungs. She didn't know that within a few hours she would be fighting for her life in water, far too deep, far too cold, far too unforgiving. She didn't know that her breath would run thin, that her vision would tilt, that her limbs would slip toward numbness. And she definitely didn't know that something massive and black and white would rise from the depths beneath her and change everything that happened next. If you want to hear how a drowning woman survived a nightmare at sea because an orca made a choice no human could have predicted, keep watching. And if you like stories that show the wild is far stranger and more intelligent than we imagine, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Her name was Lily Harper, a 34-year-old wildlife photographer who'd grown up far from any ocean. Kansas farmland had been her childhood. Dry plains, predictable seasons, grass taller than she was. She'd never felt pulled toward the coast until her late 20s, when a work assignment sent her to Olympic National Park. She stood on Rialto Beach, watching waves crash into basalt stacks, and felt something inside her shift, like the hinge of a door opening for the first time. After that, she returned every year. She wasn't reckless. She didn't chase storms or lean out of boats for dramatic shots. She respected the sea in a way that came naturally to people who hadn't grown up around it, but had learned to love it carefully. She checked weather forecasts obsessively, wore her life vest even in calm water, kept gear double-sealed, never turned her back on swell, always carried a radio. But the ocean doesn't care how careful you are, only how prepared you are when the line between safety and danger vanishes without warning. The day of the incident had begun without drama. The sunrise softened the edges of the sky. The water between the headlands rolled in slow green sheets. It was early May, too early for summer crowds, too late for winter storms. The forecast called for mild conditions with a gentle onshore breeze. Lily planned to paddle her sea kayak east along the cove, staying close enough to the coastline to photograph seabirds nesting along the cliffs. She packed a thermos of hot tea, a waterproof pouch with her phone and radio, a small first aid kit, and a high-resolution camera with a zoom lens that had taken her years to afford. She launched from the beach just after 8, sliding the bright yellow kayak into the chilly water and easing herself into the seat. The temperature bit at her fingers, but she didn't mind. Cold water was still water, predictable, steady, honest. She dipped her paddle and felt the gentle resistance as she pushed forward. For nearly an hour, everything unfolded exactly as planned. She photographed black oyster catchers perched on rocks slick with tide spray. She caught the arc of a harbor porpoise rising briefly before vanishing again. She watched sunlight scatter across the surface like a handful of coins thrown from the sky. She followed the contour of the cliffs eastward, admiring the way layers of basalt jutted in sharp, angular shells, each marking a different moment in geological time. She felt calm, steady, present. Then the wind shifted. Sudden, sharp, colder than before. She felt the change instantly, the way the surface roughened, the way the waves flattened before rising again with slightly different timing. Not storm level, not even dangerous yet, but different. Wrong. She paused her paddling and looked out toward open water. A darker line formed on the horizon. Wind swell. Unforecasted. She turned the bow of the kayak back toward the cove, deciding to head in early. No shame in playing it safe. She dipped the paddle in and pushed. Another swell lifted her, steeper than the ones before. Her stomach tightened. She pivoted farther toward shore. She didn't realize until too late that she drifted farther from land than she thought. Nearly a half-mile offshore, right near the mouth of a narrow underwater channel where currents moved unpredictably when wind and tide collided. Another swell. Bigger, closer. She dug her paddle into the water, but the timing was wrong. The wave hit broadside, sending the kayak rocking hard left. Her balance snapped. Her weight shifted. Her paddle caught the surface at the wrong angle, and the kayak rolled. Cold swallowed her in a single violent rush, a full-body shock that tore the breath from her lungs. Her camera slammed against her side. She flailed, trying to pull herself upright, but momentum had already taken over. The kayak flipped completely, trapping her for a split second beneath its weight before she kicked free. She surfaced, gasping. The kayak bobbed upside down. The swell pushed at her from all sides, disorienting her. The wind tore across the channel, stronger now. She grabbed the hull, trying to flip the kayak back, but the swell kept spinning it out of reach. Her paddle drifted several yards away, too fast for her to grab in the choppy water. Her breath thinned. She squeezed her eyes shut, forcing her mind to focus. She had practiced wet exits before. She'd trained for situations like this. But training pools weren't 31-degree seawater, and practice drills didn't come with unpredictable swell or numbness creeping through your limbs. She pulled the kayak close again, bracing her leg against it, and heaved. It didn't flip. Another wave hit her, filling her mouth with salt water. She sputtered, coughing harder than she meant to. That cough triggered a gasp. The gasp pulled in more water. A vicious cycle. Her limbs began to stiffen. She clung to the kayak and kicked toward shore, but the current resisted, tugging her sideways toward the deeper trench on the channel's far edge. She turned her head toward land. Too far, too cold, too fast. Her hand slipped on the smooth hull. She grabbed again, but weakness was already spreading along her arms like frost. She tried to lift her radio pouch, but her fingers were too clumsy to work the zipper. She cursed under her breath, wiped water from her face, and tried again. The pouch slipped under the surface, dragged down by her movement. She lunged for it, but the kayak slid away from her with that shift, and suddenly she was no longer holding anything at all, just water. Cold, endless water. She kicked hard, trying to reach the kayak again, but her legs no longer obeyed cleanly. Her lips felt numb. Her breaths came too fast, too shallow. Panic pushed in around her like tightening ropes. She screamed for help, but her voice vanished into the wind. She wasn't naive. She knew the ocean didn't care. She knew no one was close enough to hear. She knew the coastline seemed near only because distance was deceptive. Another wave shoved her under. She surfaced again, coughing violently, vision blurring. Then her body slipped below the surface a second time, this time not because of a wave, but because her limbs refused to pull her upward quickly enough. She flailed, broke through again, but the cycle was tightening. Hypothermia was setting in. Her mind felt thick. Her arms felt heavy. The ocean felt wide and patient. When her chin dipped beneath the surface for the third time, something inside her flickered, like a candle flame losing stability, shrinking just enough to warn her how close she was. She forced her head up. Nothing but water in every direction. Her thoughts blurred. Her eyes dimmed. She didn't see the dark shape approach at first. Not until it rose from the deep like something ancient and deliberate, the water lifting around it in a smooth arc. A massive black form, a curve of white, a dorsal fin tall enough to rise above her entire height. An orca. It surfaced only a few feet from her, its presence immediate and overwhelming. She could see the glossy sheen of its skin, the sharp contrast of black and white, the intelligence flickering in the dark eye that turned toward her with unnerving focus. She gasped, not from fear, but from the shock of seeing something so enormous this close, this intentional. Her instinct should have been terror, but she felt none. She felt seeing. The orca drifted closer with slow, steady control, positioning its immense body between her and the deeper channel. Its presence blocked the current that had been pulling her sideways. She treaded water weakly, barely staying afloat. Her lips trembled. Her breath shuddered. She whispered something, a half-formed plea, maybe a prayer, maybe just her own name, but her voice barely reached the space between them. The orca turned slightly, exposing more of its white flank to her. It was a gesture too deliberate to misread. It wanted her to hold on. Her mind reeled. Orcas were apex predators, hunters, coordinated killers of seals and porpoises. They didn't save drowning humans. They didn't lift them. They didn't intervene. And yet this one had positioned itself exactly where her body would have drifted into danger. Her hands shook violently as she reached out. She hesitated. Touching wild marine mammals was illegal, unsafe, heavily discouraged. But drowning was worse. Another wave crashed against her back, and her numb fingers slipped beneath the surface. The orca moved forward a few more inches, closing the gap. The water between them flattened unnaturally quickly, as if the whale were controlling the turbulence around its body. She didn't think. She grabbed for the smoother patch of skin just behind the whale's pectoral fin, fingers trembling violently. The orca held still. The moment her hand made contact, she felt warmth radiating from the animal, not literal warmth, but a sense of steady, grounding strength that cut through the cold biting at her limbs. She clung instinctively. The whale adjusted, dipping just enough that her body lifted slightly in the water, not out, but higher, enough to keep her from sinking again. Her chin rose above the swell. She gasped, coughed, sucked in air. The orca exhaled through its blowhole, sending mist upward, though she was too weak to register anything more than the pressure of water beneath her. It began to swim, slowly, carefully, with the kind of control Lily had never imagined an animal that large could possess. It moved toward the overturned kayak, nudging it with its rostrum. The kayak spun back toward her in a wide arc. The orca pushed it again until it was close enough for her to grab. Her fingers barely obeyed, but she gripped the bowline and pulled it toward her, clinging with both hands. The whale stayed beside her, its body forming a wall that shielded her from incoming swell. It dipped beneath her again, not fully lifting, but buoying her long enough to help her get her upper body onto the slick hull. Her arms trembled with the effort. Her chest burned. Her vision spotted black around the edges. She wasn't climbing onto the kayak, not yet, but she wasn't fully submerged anymore. The whale lingered beside her. Its eye broke the surface again. It was watching her, not as prey, not as a curiosity, but as something it had chosen to keep alive. She blinked salt water from her eyes, her breath hitching uncontrollably. She didn't know how long she clung to the kayak like that. Minutes, seconds, hours, her time sense shredded by cold and fear. She only knew the whale stayed with her, never leaving, never drifting away, holding the line for her. Her thoughts blurred again. Her grip faltered. Her eyelids drooped. The world tilted. She felt the whale nudge the kayak closer to the swell direction that pointed toward the cove, lining her up with the outgoing tide's weaker return flow. Another nudge. Another adjustment. The whale was steering her. Her final conscious thought before everything went dark was simple. "You're trying to save me." And then she slipped into cold, quiet nothing. She never saw the whale hold its position over her like a sentinel. Never saw the fishing boat crest the swell 30 minutes later. Never heard the shouts. Never knew that when the crew reached her, the Orca finally turned away calm, controlled, disappearing beneath the water in a long, deliberate arc, as if its task was complete. She woke hours later in a hospital bed. Warm blankets. 4 fluids. Monitors. A doctor explained gently that she'd been suffering severe hypothermia and near-drowning symptoms. A fishing vessel had found her unconscious, half-draped over her overturned kayak. They'd pulled her aboard, radioed for help, and gotten her to shore. She listened, dazed, then whispered, voice hoarse, "Where's the whale?" The doctor blinked, confused. "What whale?" "The Orca," she rasped. "The Orca that held me up." The doctor exchanged a look with a nurse, a cautious look, a maybe she's confused look. "No one reported a whale," he said gently. But she remembered. She remembered the massive presence, the way it blocked the current, the way it supported her weight, the way it steered her toward safety, the way its eye watched her, unblinking, steady, measuring. She remembered everything, and she knew she hadn't imagined it, because she'd felt its skin beneath her trembling hands. She'd felt the water shift around its massive body. She'd felt the moment it chose her. She closed her eyes and whispered, "It saved me." When Lily opened her eyes the next morning, the hospital room was washed in pale gray light. Soft rain tapped against the window, gentle, steady, indifferent. She felt the world through layers of thick numbness, like she was underwater again, drifting, weightless. Her skin tingled. Her muscles ached. Her throat felt raw. But her mind, foggy as it was, clung to one memory with sharp clarity. Black and white. Massive. Controlled. Watching her. The Orca had been real. She knew it with a certainty that lived somewhere deeper than logic. A nurse stepped in quietly, carrying a small tablet and a cup of water. "Good morning," she said softly. "How are you feeling?" "Like I tried to swim through ice," Lily whispered. Her voice cracked, dry as sand. "That tracks," the nurse replied, setting the water down for her. "You had severe hypothermia when they found you. Core temperature dropped more than we'd like. You're lucky." Lucky. The word felt strange. Wrong. Too small. She wasn't lucky. She was alive because something massive and wild had kept her from sinking. "Did the fishermen say anything?" Lily asked. "About what they saw?" The nurse hesitated only slightly. "They said they found you alone. Just you. No kayak nearby, no paddle. They were surprised you were still afloat." A cold shiver worked its way down Lily's spine. "The kayak. The Orca pushed it to me." The nurse blinked. "The Orca?" "Yes," Lily insisted weakly. "It was right beside me, supporting me." The nurse offered a gentle, professional smile. Not condescending, but careful. The smile someone gives a patient still recovering from trauma. "We see hypothermia patients experience confusion all the time," she said lightly. "It's normal for your brain to mix things up." "I'm not confused," Lily whispered. The nurse only nodded, clearly unconvinced, and stepped out to check on other patients. Lily stared at the ceiling until her breath steadied. She wasn't confused. The memory wasn't dreamlike or blurred. It was sharp, physical, real. She'd felt the pressure of water shifting beneath her as the whale balanced her body. She'd felt the paddle-free current change direction when the Orca blocked it. She'd felt the kayak bump her again and again as the whale nudged it closer. She'd felt herself lifted. Her memories weren't fantasy. They were survival. Her fingers curled against the blanket. Someone had to believe her. Later in the afternoon, a woman entered the room, hair in a tight bun, weatherproof jacket still wet from the rain. She carried a clipboard and a canvas satchel marked with the Coastal Rescue logo. "Ms. Harper?" she asked. "Yes." The woman offered her hand. "I'm Deputy Marissa Cole with the County Marine Safety Office. I'd like to ask a few questions if you're up for it." Lily straightened slightly, nodding. The deputy pulled up a chair and glanced at her notes. "First off, we're glad you're alive. We need to put together a report about what happened yesterday. A few details aren't adding up." "Like what?" Cole flipped the page. "The fishing boat that found you said you were unconscious and half-draped over your upside-down kayak. But when the Coast Guard arrived, both the kayak and your paddle were missing." "They never turned up?" Lily blinked. "What?" "They were right there. Not when our units arrived. Current may have taken them, but the drift pattern is odd." "How odd?" Cole leaned forward. "The current was moving west yesterday, but the recovery location suggests you drifted east." Against the current, Lily's pulse quickened. The Orca blocked it. Cole didn't react at first. Her expression stayed neutral, professional. "The Orca?" "Yes," Lily said, forcing her voice to steady. "There was an Orca with me. It came up when I was drowning. It kept me from sinking. It pushed the kayak to me. It stayed until the boat came." Cole took a slow breath. "Ms. Harper, we have no reported sightings of orcas in that area yesterday. You think I hallucinated it?" "I didn't say that, but you think it." Cole hesitated. "Hypothermia can affect memory. Panic, too, but I'm not dismissing anything. I just need your full account." So Lily told her. Every detail. The shift in wind, the waves, the roll, the shock of cold, the panic, a kayak slipping away. The moment the massive shape rose beside her, so close she could see the eye, the nudges, the support, the calm intelligence in the whale's movements, the way it stayed until help arrived. Cole listened carefully, writing nothing for the first several minutes. Eventually, she set her pen down. "You're certain it wasn't a humpback or a gray whale?" "It was an orca. Positive?" "Absolutely." "And you're certain it wasn't aggressive?" "It saved my life." Cole sat back, studying her. "This isn't the first strange orca report we've gotten this year." Lily's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "Whale-watching boats have reported unusual behavior. Fishermen, too. Orcas approaching vessels they normally avoid. Long sightings near the surface. Even escort patterns." Lily leaned forward. "Escort patterns?" "Following boats. Staying near swimmers. Moving in ways that seem purposeful." "Why?" Cole shook her head. "We don't know. Could be coincidence. Could be increased prey movement. Could be nothing." But her tone didn't match her words. She stood, tucking the clipboard under her arm. "I'll file your statement. Someone from Marine Research may want to talk to you. Get some rest." As soon as Cole left, Lily stared out the rain-streaked window. She knew what the deputy wasn't saying. This wasn't nothing. Something was happening out there. She was part of it now. 2 days later, she was discharged, still weak, still chilled deep in her bones, but stable. She returned to the small rental cabin she'd been staying in for her photography trip, now feeling strangely foreign, as if she'd stepped into a world slightly off axis. She made tea. She wrapped herself in a blanket. She tried to sleep, but she kept hearing one thing, the water moving beneath the whale. Like a silent promise, she couldn't let it go. She called her sister, Hannah, who lived in Denver. She expected worry, maybe panic. She got incredulity. "You're telling me a killer whale saved you?" Hannah asked. "Yes." "A killer whale?" "Yes. You almost died, Lily. Trauma does weird things." "It wasn't trauma. It was real." "Are you absolutely sure?" Lily closed her eyes. "I know what I saw." There was a pause. Then Hannah sighed. "Then you need to talk to someone who knows the ocean better than I do. Find an expert, a biologist. Someone who won't think you're crazy. Deputy Cole said marine researchers might contact me. Good. Let them. And Lily? Yeah? I'm glad you're alive. Lily's voice softened. Me too. After the call, she sat alone in the quiet cabin, listening to the rain settle. She didn't know whether to feel grateful, terrified, humbled, or chosen. The mix left her almost shaking. The next morning, as she sipped hot tea and stared at her half-unpacked duffel bag, a knock echoed faintly from the cabin door. When she opened it, a woman stood on the porch, wind-blown dark hair, seawater-stained jacket, a messenger bag slung over her shoulder. Late 30s, sharp eyes. A presence like someone who spent more of her life on water than land. Hi, the woman said. You're Lily Harper? Yes, the woman extended a hand. Dr. Avery Holt, Marine Behavioral Research Division. She paused. I'd like to talk to you about your orca. Lily felt her stomach flip. You believe me? I believe something happened out there. Something that matches other reports we've been gathering. Avery stepped inside, shook off the rain, and sat at the small wooden table. She took out a notebook filled with dense handwriting and maps. You're not the only one, she began. We've had 3 separate incidents in the past 8 months involving orcas approaching humans in distress. Lily swallowed hard. Distress, like drowning? Like unusual circumstances. A kayaker overturned in Puget Sound who was pushed toward shore by what he described as a silent black wall. A diver whose air tank malfunctioned and felt something lift him upward just enough for him to reach the surface. A fishing crew that swears an orca blocked a great white from circling their boat during an engine failure. Why isn't this all over the news? Because the stories don't make sense. Because they're anecdotal. Because no one has footage. And because the scientific community doesn't accept behavioral anomalies easily. But my story adds to it. It does. Avery agreed. And your details match patterns we've been trying to verify. What patterns? Avery tapped her notebook. Pod 71T. Pod what? A trenchant orca pod we've been tracking for years. They're intelligent, tight-knit, and unusually bold. The sightings you described, large adult male, distinctive flank markings, controlled maneuvers, match our records. Lily's pulse raced. You're saying the same whales have been doing this? It's possible. But why? Avery hesitated. We don't know. That's why I'm here. Lily exhaled slowly. What do you need from me? To tell me everything. In detail. Every movement the whale made. Every instinct you felt. Every second you can remember. So Lily told her. The wind shift. The swell. The roll. The panic. The orca's appearance. The eye contact. The nudging. The blocking of the current. The precise way it buoyed her without jostling her into waves. The way it left only after the boat arrived. Avery's expression stiffened at the last part. It left immediately? Yes. That's consistent, Avery murmured. With what? With other incidents. The orcas always disengage the moment humans re-enter control of the situation. Like they want to help, Lily said softly. Avery didn't dismiss it. She closed her notebook and took a breath. There's something else. Something you need to see. She pulled a tablet from her bag and tapped through a few files before turning the screen toward Lily. A grainy video began to play handheld footage from a whale-watching boat. A pod of orcas surfaced near a drifting buoy. They moved in tight circles around it. A small kayak paddle floated beside the buoy, bobbing in the waves. The orcas nudged it repeatedly, repositioning it, aligning it, pushing it toward the direction of the nearest shoreline. Lily's mouth dropped open. That's my paddle. We think so. And they brought it here? Not to shore, but they moved it toward shallower water. Avery met her eyes. They were cleaning up the scene. Why? Because they didn't want you to lose it, Avery said quietly. Or because they wanted to remove a hazard? Or because they don't like leaving debris behind? Or because they're communicating something? Lily felt dizzy. Communicating what? Avery sat back, eyes dark with unspoken questions. That humans are part of the system, she said finally. Not outside it? Lily swallowed hard. Do you think they understand us? Avery nodded slowly. I think they understand more than we give them credit for. The rain outside grew heavier, streaking sideways across the window. Lily felt something shift inside her like a tide turning. Can we go back to the place where it happened? She asked. Avery hesitated, then nodded. Yes, but you need to be ready for what you might find. They took a small research vessel out at dawn the next morning. The sky was pale, almost white. Thin fog drifted across the water, low and fast. The swell was mild, steady. Lily stood near the bow, bundled in warm layers, heart thumping. Are you scared? Avery asked quietly. A little. That's healthy. They reached the mouth of the channel, where the water darkened, where the swell bent differently, where her memory sharpened with painful clarity. Lily stared into the depths. And then something moved. A shadow, large, slow, rising. Her breath stopped. A dorsal fin broke the surface, tall and clean-edged, cutting upward like a black blade. Then a second fin, then another. Pod 71T, the same whales, the same formation, the same presence she'd felt in the darkest moment of her life. Lily grabbed the rail to keep her balance. The big male surfaced first massive, controlled, unmistakable. He exhaled, then dipped just enough to reveal the white patch near his left eye. Avery whispered, "This is him." The whale approached the boat, not aggressively, not curiously, but with a kind of deliberate ignition. He slowed, stopped, floated just beneath the surface. Watching Lily, she stepped closer to the edge. Her throat tightened, her eyes stung. She whispered, "You saved me." The whale rolled slightly, exposing more of its flank. A gesture, a confirmation, a recognition. Avery watched the interaction with troubled awe. "He knows you." Lily nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I know him too." More orcas surfaced, 2 adult females, then 3 juveniles. They formed a loose semicircle around the boat, not trapping it, framing it, inviting, present, alert. "They're showing you something," Avery murmured. The big male lifted his head just enough to break the surface again. Then he turned slowly, deliberately toward the deeper water, and waited. "He wants you to follow," Avery said quietly. The boat began to drift in that direction. Lily's heart pounded. The whales moved with them, guiding, choosing the pace. As they neared the deeper channel, the big male dove smoothly, disappearing into a growing shadow beneath the water. A moment later, something floated up. A small silver object, rectangular. Lily gasped. Her waterproof radio pouch? The one she dropped when she was drowning. The whales had retrieved it. Avery stared in disbelief. This is impossible." The pouch drifted gently on the surface. The big male surfaced beside it, nudging it toward the boat. Lily reached out with trembling hands, pulling it aboard. It felt unreal, weightless, heavier than any scientific explanation. Avery whispered, "This is not just behavior. This is intention." The whales lingered for a long moment. Then, one by one, they turned and swam away, disappearing into the gray-green expanse like shadows slipping behind a curtain. Lily stood frozen, the pouch clutched against her chest. Avery finally spoke. "This isn't rescue," she said softly. "This is something deeper, something we don't have a word for." Lily whispered, "I think they chose me." Avery stared out at the empty water. "Maybe they're choosing all of us. Maybe they're asking whether we're paying attention." Lily closed her eyes. She was paying attention now, more than she ever had. And as the boat turned back toward shore, she felt the truth settle inside her like an anchor dropped in deep, quiet water. The ocean had saved her. But it had also warned her. Warned all of us. And she wasn't sure we were ready to understand what that meant. The coastline stretched in a long, dark line behind them as the small research vessel returned to shore, cutting through the pale morning water like a quiet blade. Lily stood near the stern, gripping the recovered radio pouch with both hands, still feeling the weight of the interaction from the channel. Avery remained at the helm, her eyes narrowing every few seconds as though replaying the entire encounter in her mind. Neither woman spoke for a long while. There are moments in life where silence becomes its own kind of language, thick with meaning. The air between them felt charged heavy with questions, possibilities, and something neither could name. Lily finally exhaled. "Thank you," she whispered, though not to Avery, not to anyone human. The words drifted across the surface of the water, pulled into the slipstream of the boat's wake. Avery glanced back at her. "You're not going to be able to go back to your life after this. You know, I don't want to." "That's not what I meant." Lily looked up. Avery tapped 2 fingers lightly against the steering console. "The moment you tell the world an orca saved you and now retrieved your equipment, your story stops belonging to you. It becomes everyone's. People will interpret it in 1,000 different ways." Lily swallowed. "I don't care about people." "You will," Avery said quietly. "Because they'll care about you." Lily looked back at the horizon, the place where the whales had vanished less than an hour before. The water lay smooth now, innocent, as though no giant predator breached its surface. It felt unreal, fragile. She closed her eyes. "I still see him, the big male. I still feel how he looked at me." Avery's voice softened. Recognition. More than that. Lily touched her chest. Connection. Avery didn't argue. She simply adjusted the throttle and steered them toward the harbor. When they docked, the marine lab felt different. People moved quietly, almost reverently, watching Lily and Avery step off the vessel. A few whispered. Someone lifted a camera, thought better of it, lowered it again. It was as though they all sensed something monumental had happened, something that wasn't ready to be translated into data charts in peer-reviewed language. Inside the lab, Lily's hands shook as she set the waterproof pouch on the stainless steel table. The object that should have been lost at sea lay there perfectly intact, perfectly dry inside. A small label with her handwriting stared back at her. It was hers, and the whales had chosen to return it. Avery stood beside her, silent. The lab's lead biologist, Dr. Mason Alvarez, approached with a slow, cautious step. He was in his 50s, with streaks of silver in his hair, and deep-set eyes that had watched more ocean stories unfold than most people could imagine. "We heard," he said quietly. Lily stiffened. "I suppose you're going to tell me I imagined it." But Alvarez shook his head. "No, I'm going to tell you we've been waiting for something like this for a long time." Avery shot him a sharp look. "You didn't tell me that. You didn't ask," he replied. He turned to Lily. "We've collected unusual orca reports for years. Not just local, global. Incidents that don't fit established behavior models. Approaches toward humans with consistency. Escorting boats. Protecting swimmers from sharks. Intervening when someone is in distress." Lily whispered. "Why isn't anyone talking about this?" "They are," Alvarez said. Quietly, carefully, because the scientific community doesn't accept outliers. Because funders want hard evidence, not stories. Because people panic when wild animals show intelligence they can't categorize. Avery crossed her arms. And because nobody's ever had proof like what Lily just got. Lily flushed with sudden anxiety. "I'm not trying to be some chosen person. I don't want attention." "You may not have a choice," Avery said gently. Alvarez studied Lily with curiosity rather than skepticism. "Tell me again what happened." She repeated everything from the previous day, the wind shift, the roll, the panic, the Orca's calm, the controlled nudging, the steering, the decision to leave only after help arrived. The memory felt clearer now than the moment itself had. Alvarez listened without interrupting, nodding in slow intervals, his expression shifting from analytical to something like awe. When she finished, he spoke in a low, steady voice. "You weren't just rescued. You were understood." Lily felt a tremor run through her. Avery shot Alvarez another glance. "She's not ready for that. She deserves the truth," he said, "especially given what she just witnessed." Lily looked between them. "What truth?" Avery sighed. "There's a theory circulating in small research circles. Unpublished, mostly whispered. We call it emergent cognitive shift," Lily blinked. "What does that mean?" "That Orcas may be entering a new phase of cultural evolution," Avery said. "Developing new learned behaviors, new strategies," Alvarez picked up, "and very possibly new ways of relating to other species." "Humans," Lily whispered. "Humans," he confirmed. Lily stared down at her hands. "Why me?" Avery shook her head. "It wasn't you. It was the situation. You were drowning. You were small. You weren't a threat. You were in their world, helpless." Alvarez added, "And Orcas have a long memory for events that disrupt their environment. They notice when something isn't right. Are you saying they saw me as something worth saving?" "We're not saying that." Avery held her gaze. "But we're also not saying they didn't." Lily felt her heartbeat drum painfully in her chest. "And now," Alvarez said softly, "they've come back." That evening, Lily walked alone along the rain-dampened pier, wrapped in a warm coat, mind racing too fast to settle. The wind had softened, carrying only a faint brine-scented chill. The ocean stretched black beyond the harbor lights, vast and unreadable. She tried to imagine the whales out there beneath the surface, moving through hidden channels and underwater canyons, navigating with a purpose humans barely understood. She wondered if they were thinking about her. Halfway down the pier, she slowed. Something glimmered in the water. A seal, then another. They watched her quietly, whiskers twitching, eyes reflecting the lights. She knelt, touching the edge of the wooden boards. "Do you know?" she whispered to them. "Do you know why they chose me?" The seals tilted their heads, unbothered, unreadable. She closed her eyes, letting the cold wind sting her cheeks. A week passed. Avery visited often, bringing updates on new Orca movements, new acoustic patterns detected on hydrophones, new reports from nearby coastal towns. Lily attended meetings, listened to researchers debate, watched footage of Orcas circling buoys or approaching dive boats, but none of it meant as much as what she felt in her bones. The pod hadn't rescued her by accident. Something else had been at work. Instinct? Intelligence? Choice? She didn't know. But she needed answers. So when Avery suggested returning to the water to try recording vocalizations, to observe from a distance, to document whatever the pod did, next Lily agreed. They headed out before dawn 2 days later aboard a larger research vessel equipped with hydrophones, cameras, sonar mapping gear, and emergency rescue equipment. Alvarez joined them. A small crew handled navigation and safety protocols. Lily stood at the bow again, bundled in a windproof jacket, watching the horizon blur between gray sky and darker sea. Every few minutes, she wiped mist from her face. Avery approached quietly. "You don't have to come," she said. "This isn't standard procedure. No one expects you." "I need to see them again," Lily said. Avery nodded. "We might not," she warned. "Whales move where they want." "I know." It took hours. They scanned the water, listened for calls, mapped sound signatures. Nothing. By mid-afternoon, the crew grew restless. Even Alvarez admitted their chances were slipping with the tide. "We may have missed them," he said gently. "They travel fast. We'll come back tomorrow." Lily nodded, swallowing disappointment. Avery turned toward the helmsman. "Take us back toward." Before she finished, the sonar operator's voice cracked through the quiet. Movement off the starboard bow. Everyone rushed to the rail. Lily's breath hitched hard. A tall dorsal fin cut through the water. Then another. Then a third. Pod 71T. The big male surfaced first, rising cleanly in a smooth arc. Sunlight struck his flank, revealing the same unique white patch he remembered. Behind him came the females, their bodies sleek and powerful. The three juveniles surfaced in a messy cluster, splashing awkwardly, still learning. The whales approached slowly, not in a hunting pattern, not in an evasive one, but with something like intention. A formation, recognition. Avery whispered, "Here we go." Alvarez checked the recorder levels. "Get everything." Every click, every whistle. Lily stepped forward without meaning to. A big male drifted closer until he hovered just yards from the rail. His eye broke the surface again, dark, deep, impossibly aware. Lily whispered, "Hello." The whale lifted his head slightly, as if greeting her. Then the water between them shimmered. A faint, pulsing series of clicks rippled through the vessel, not aggressive, not chaotic, rhythmic, patterned, measured. "He's calling," Alvarez murmured, "but not to other whales." "That's a directed pattern." "He's speaking to her," Avery said. The pulsing clicks deepened, then repeated, then softened. The big male dipped below the surface and rose again in a slow, controlled motion. A second adult female moved behind him and performed a similar rise, then one of the juveniles. Then the final one. A sequence, a ritual, a greeting. Avery's eyes widened. "They're acknowledging you." Lily could hardly breathe. "Why me?" "We don't know," Alvarez said quietly. "But this isn't random. This is cross-species communication." The big male shifted position, drifting closer to the rail. He turned slightly, presenting his side, revealing a long gray scar Lily hadn't noticed before. "What is that?" she whispered. Avery leaned in, boding injury. "Old." Lily felt a shiver. He drifted closer still, until the swell between them rose and fell in smooth motion. Then he rolled onto his side, exposing his white belly for several seconds. A trust display. A gesture only given to those he deemed safe. Lily covered her mouth with shaking hands. "He remembers you," Avery whispered. "He trusts you." Lily reached out, not to touch, just to acknowledge, the way she had on the pier. The whale rotated back and drifted away a few feet, then suddenly dove deep. "Where's he?" Before she could finish, something floated up again. Something small. Something Lily recognized instantly. Her necklace. A simple silver pendant she'd worn for years, a wave-shaped charm on a delicate chain. She hadn't seen it since the accident. It must have slipped off when she fell into the water. The whale had brought it back, her throat locked. "He kept it," she whispered. "He held on to it and brought it back." Avery touched her shoulder. "He's giving it to you." Lily's eyes filled. She lowered her hand toward the surface, scooping the necklace out of the water with trembling fingers. The big male resurfaced beside her. Their eyes met. Something passed between them, a recognition so profound it made her chest ache. The whales stayed with the vessel for nearly an hour. They circled. They dove. They surfaced again and again, always near Lily, always controlled, always measuring. The big male clicked and pulsed the same rhythmic pattern several times, each time directed at her. Then, as the sun dipped low and the ocean turned to liquid gold, the whales turned eastward in a slow, unified movement. They didn't rush. They didn't slip away. They departed with ceremony. The big male surfaced one last time, exhaling, then dipped beneath the surface in a long, graceful dive. The others followed. One by one, they vanished into darker water. Avery let out a breath she'd been holding for minutes. "We have to release this," she said, voice hoarse. "The world needs to see, needs to know." Alvarez shook his head. "Not yet. If we tell the truth too soon, people will misinterpret it. They'll exploit it. They'll approach them. They'll treat them like friendly mascots instead of apex predators with evolving intelligence." Lily stared at the silver necklace in her palm. "What do we do then?" she asked quietly. Avery exhaled. "We watch. We study. We stay close. We protect the pod from exploitation. And when the time is right, we tell the story the right way." Lily nodded. But as the boat turned back toward shore, she understood something deep in her chest. She hadn't just been saved. She'd been chosen, if not as a friend, then as a witness. She stared at the horizon where the whales had vanished, her necklace cold in her hand, and realized a truth she'd never forget. Some rescues don't end when the danger passes. Some rescues begin there, and the ocean had only started speaking. The next morning arrived cold and clear, with a thin veil of fog lifting slowly off the harbor like a curtain being pulled away from a stage. Lily stood at the edge of the pier, hands buried deep inside her jacket pockets, watching gulls drift across the air in lazy arcs. The necklace the Orca had returned hung around her neck again, the cold silver warming slowly against her skin. Its weight felt different, now less like jewelry and more like a message. A reminder. Behind her, the steady thrum of activity at the Marine Research Lab carried softly on the breeze. Avery and Alvarez were already inside, preparing equipment for another day on the water hydrophones. Cameras, tracking devices, redundant navigation gear. The last encounter with Pod 71T had confirmed what the Institute had long suspected. The whales were demonstrating behavior well beyond anything recorded in scientific literature. And now that Lily had become an unintentional part of their evolving story, urgency had risen like a tide. But today felt different. Unease tugged at Lily like the undertow in a strong current. She couldn't explain it. Nothing obvious was wrong. The weather was mild, the sea calm, the air crisp. Yet beneath all of it lurked something that felt out of place, like a shift in atmospheric pressure right before a storm breaks. A voice behind her cut through the hush. "Felt you'd be out here." She turned to find Avery approaching, tying her hair into a loose knot. The woman's expression was a blend of determination and concern, a pairing that had become familiar since the second encounter with the pod. "You ready?" Avery asked. "No," Lily admitted, "but I'm going anyway." Avery gave a faint smile. "That's all we need." They walked back toward the lab, boots thudding softly against the damp wood. Inside, Alvarez stood over a large table scattered with printouts of sonar maps, behavioral charts, and acoustic transcript analyses. He glanced up as they entered. "Good timing," he said. "We've picked up fresh vocalizations from the outer trench. Same pattern as yesterday, mostly juvenile communication, but something else layered in." "Something else?" Lily asked. Alvarez spread a series of spectrograms across the table. Lines and curves in dense, colorful bands filled the pages. "This frequency here, see how it's lower? More consistent? That's not social chatter. That's positional marking." "For what?" Avery asked. "That's the problem. We don't know." A quiet tension pressed into the space between them. Finally, Lily spoke. "We should go." Alvarez nodded and signaled the crew. They boarded the research vessel just before dawn's first light broke fully across the water. The engine rumbled to life, the hull cutting through the bay in a slow, controlled glide. Lily stood at the bow again, a position that had become natural to her since the accident. Avery joined her, handing her a thermos of hot ginger tea. "Drink. You'll need the warmth." Lily took a sip, letting the heat push back the chill creeping through her. Why does today feel so different? Lily asked. Avery kept her gaze fixed ahead. Because sooner or later, events like this reach a tipping point. And we might be approaching it. Tipping point for what? For understanding, Avery said. For recognizing that something is changing in the ocean. And not just with the whales. Lily's chest tightened. About 40 minutes into their trip, the sonar operator called out from the cabin window. Got something. Avery and Alvarez rushed inside. Lily followed. The sonar screen showed 6 large shapes moving in coordinated formation. Smooth, steady, unmistakable. Pod 71T, Alvarez murmured. But something was wrong. The whales weren't moving in the calm, confident patterns she had seen before. Their movement was tighter, faster, more clustered. Close enough that their acoustic signals overlapped heavily, something that usually only happened in moments of high stress. What's going on? Lily whispered. Avery shook her head. I don't know, but they're not behaving normally. The vessel slowed. The sea ahead rippled with unusual turbulence, subtle but noticeable. A long, dark shape shifted beneath the surface. Whale, the sonar operator said. But not Orca. Another shape appeared, then another. Avery's eyebrows shot up. That's a gray whale, juvenile. Alvarez squinted. Alone. That's not normal, Lily said. Gray whales didn't travel alone unless separated by injury. Or fear. Pod 71T surfaced suddenly 6 dorsals, rising in sharp unison, water sheeting down their sleek forms. The big male broke higher than the others, almost urgent in the way he moved. They're trying to shield it, Avery murmured. From what? Lily asked. The answer surfaced a heartbeat later. A massive shadow rose behind the gray whale, its shape spreading beneath the surface like an ink stain. At first Lily thought it was a humpback, but then it came closer, larger, bulkier, too wide near the head. Is that, Lily gasped, a sperm whale? Alvarez said. No, 2 sperm whales. Sperm whales almost never entered these waters. Deep divers, squid hunters, not coastal travelers, and certainly not aggressive toward grays unless provoked. What are they doing here? Avery asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The sperm whales surfaced with tremendous force, their massive backs rising like dark islands. One released a long plume. The other rolled slightly, revealing a deep, fresh wound along its flank, a long, jagged gash. Avery inhaled sharply. They're injured. By what? Lily asked. A third shadow appeared under the water, not a whale. Long, narrow, moving quickly. Shark, but bigger than any Lily had seen before. Alvarez exhaled. That's a big one. Mako? Possibly. The shark surged toward the juvenile gray whale, slicing the water in a clean, terrifying arc. The orcas reacted instantly. The big male slammed sideways into the shark's path, forcing it off course. The shark rolled, twisting violently, then darted downward. The second adult female positioned herself between the shark and the juvenile gray, while the juveniles circled the gray whale in a smaller formation mirroring the protective moves they had practiced before. Lily's blood ran cold. This is what they were training for. Avery's voice wavered. My God, they weren't teaching rescue for humans. They were teaching rescue for whales. The shark darted upward again. The whales repositioned. Every movement was precise, deliberate, coordinated, not a random defense. A strategy. The big male surged forward, striking the shark again harder this time. The impact sent a ripple across the surface, the shark's body twisting at a violent angle before it righted itself. The sperm whales lumbered closer, their size enormous, but their movements sluggish due to their injuries. They moved into position behind the gray whale, creating a massive living barricade that reinforced the orca formation. 5 species converged in a single moment. Predation, defense, cooperation. chaos and intelligence intertwined. "Are we recording?" Avery barked. Every camera's running. The crew shouted. The shark made another run. The young orcas darted in close too close. The shark turned sharply toward the nearest juvenile. Lily gasped. "No!" But the big male was already moving. He intercepted the shark with brutal accuracy, his jaws clamping down around the predator's tail. He shook once massive, powerful, decisive. The shark went still, dead. Silence spread across the water. Not literal silence, but a moment where everything paused. The juvenile orca drifted backward, trembling, as though stunned by how close danger had been. The big male circled the juvenile, nudging it in reassurance. Avery whispered, "He saved the young one." Lily felt tears fill her eyes. "He saved all of us." The orcas regrouped, reforming their protective ring around the gray whale. The sperm whales drifted farther out, exhausted, and slowly descended beneath the waves, their massive forms fading into darker water. The juvenile gray whale remained near the surface, disoriented but breathing. The orcas circled. And then something unexpected happened. The big male surfaced near the research vessel, directly near Lily. She stepped to the rail, body trembling. The whale rose until his eye breached the surface, dark, reflective, deeply aware. She whispered, "Did you want us to see this?" The whale held his position. She felt the air leave her lungs. "You wanted us to know," she murmured. "Not just that you saved me, but that you've been saving others." The whale blinked slowly. Avery touched Lily's shoulder. "He's showing you their world, their rules," Lily whispered, "and their warnings." The big male dipped his rostrum, then lifted it slightly, a gesture so deliberate it felt like language. Then he dove. The rest of the pod followed. The ocean stilled. For several long minutes, no one spoke. Alvarez finally exhaled. "We have enough evidence now. Enough to rewrite everything we know about interspecies behavior." Avery shook her head. "We don't rewrite it. We rethink it. We admit we've been underestimating them for decades." Lily kept her gaze on the water. "We protect them. That too," Alvarez said. But Lily heard something else inside her, a whisper from the depths, the echo of a massive presence below the surface. A memory of intelligence so ancient it made human arrogance look small. On the trip back to the harbor, no one spoke. The sun dipped behind the cliffs. The sea darkened. The day settled around them with a quiet that felt like the aftermath of something sacred. Once ashore, Lily stepped onto the pier, her legs trembling. Avery approached slowly. "You okay?" Lily nodded weakly. "Just processing." Avery sighed. "I don't know how we release this, or if we even should." Alvarez joined them. "If humanity sees this footage, they'll descend on the whales. Boats will swarm them. People will chase them for videos. They'll be harassed nonstop." Lily closed her eyes. "They didn't save me so I could endanger them," she whispered. Avery nodded. "Then we hold it. For now." Alvarez folded his arms. "When the world is ready, we tell the story responsibly." Lily looked out at the ocean, dark, vast, unknowable. "They don't need us to interpret them," she said softly. "They need us to listen." As the sun disappeared completely, she felt the necklace at her collarbone, a final reminder of the encounter that had rewritten her life. She thought of the orca's eye, the calm, the intention, the intelligence that made her feel both seen and humbled. She breathed slowly, letting the cold air fill her lungs. "Some stories," she murmured, "aren't meant to change the world. They're meant to change us." Avery didn't speak. Neither did Alvarez. The ocean answered with its steady, endless rhythm. Lily stood alone for a long time, staring into the darkness, feeling the truth settle inside her, a truth she would carry without needing to share it, without needing to prove anything to anyone. The orca had saved her, and in doing so, It had shown her how little humanity understood the world beneath the waves. A warning, a gift, a reminder. In the deep, the real intelligence has been watching us far longer than we've been watching it. If this story made you see the ocean differently, if it made you wonder what else waits beneath the surface, be sure to like and subscribe. There are more mysteries out there, more truths, and more moments when the wild chooses to reveal itself. If we're paying attention,